Good morning, YouTube friends. Um, we're going to work on the Barbie bed today. One reason I'm really flooding, two reasons. One reason is I finally found a way to get everything up without it being a death sentence for me. The other is that it's October already and Christmas is coming, and you might not have time to do a full house, but you go to a packing place and get a box that's, you know, sort of the size that you would want a Barbie room to be or whatever. Get two or three of them, fasten together, throw some fabric on the walls for wallpaper or some paint. And before you know it, you've got a box. You don't have a, excuse me, you have a box, yeah. You have a room for Barbie and her friends or however big a family you want her to have. And then, but you can make some really nice stuff to go in it that would pass on to a better house later. And at any rate, this one, like the Skipper bed, has not been restyled. It is all crumbled up still from being packed away. This one's, like I said, with the Skipper, the Barbie house has been packed away for 8 years. Now, I'm not going to tear this bed all apart like I did on the Skipper one. Believe it or not, I have put this house together so many times over the years because when children would come, I have a few things in here that I would not leave for small children to play with, but my daughter and her friends would play with it. But I would take out the more fragile things and they'd have a go. And I promise you, by the time they'd spent 2 or 3 hours at my house, I would have to take everything out of that house because I'd have to look under the beds for stuff, and I'd take it all out and put it all back in. And I've done that so many times. But anyway, they enjoyed it, and that was the whole purpose of making the whole thing, was so kids could enjoy it. But here we are with the Barbie bed. I will mention quickly that my husband was overseas the whole first year. My daughter was 13 days old when he went overseas, so I lived in my folks' house most of the year that he was gone, and so I didn't really do a nursery, so I felt a little cheated there. So as soon as we got to our new station and had base housing and a bedroom just for her, and that sort of thing, I bought pink gingham and made curtains. I made a bed skirt for her bed and just made her a really pretty, feminine little girly kind of room. And this is part of that fabric. And that's, that's, some people think, well, why would you use that? Well, she's a pinky girl anyway, always has been. And that's why I use that fabric, because for one thing, the size worked, the color worked, I had enough, and there we are. Anyway, so the pillow shams are just like regular pillow shams, just like the Skipper house. I'm not going to pull this totally apart. We've got our regular pillows. They're memory pillows. They're not memory foam pillows, but they've remembered to hang around all these years, so I like that. And this is eyelet. This camera doesn't work real good, but you got your flowers, and then between them you've got your little sort of rough looking places, and that's a little eyelet, and then it's got a white background. And if you'll see on the white background, I just did my quilting lines straight up and down about, where's my fingers? There. About that far apart, maybe ½ inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch apart, but I didn't want to bulk it up too much, and that made it hang good. And again, I didn't really put anything in it. And then we have our sheets. We have our fitted sheet. We have our bed skirt. Unfortunately, through the years, see where the pillows sit? This is beginning to fade. And I really hate that, because when Heather was when my daughter was 5, a neighbor gave me that little piece of fabric. It wasn't very much, maybe 1/4 of a yard, but it was enough to trim a dress or something. And at that time I made a about 90% of my daughter's clothes. And she made me promise to make that, to put that on a dress for Heather. And I did promise. And I did mean to, but I just never quite found what I wanted to put it with. So anyway, when I decided to do this house, I realized that that was the perfect place to use that. This bed is made just like the skipper bed was, except this is a piece of, not like cereal box cardboard, but like the stiff board that comes at the back of a notepad or something like that. And it's glued all the way down to the floor, so it's good and sturdy. But anyway, so that made a nice looking little thing for her. And I have some little throw pillows to go on it. And I also have somewhere, oh, here. I also have, it goes over, I don't know what that message was. If it showed up in the thing, I don't know. Anyway, anyway, this is a table that goes actually on the other side of the bed with a lamp on it in the corner. But I don't have room back there. My laptop's not big enough. So anyway, and it had a pretty little lamp with a flower on it and a white shade. And this is a little quilt. Now this one I actually was piecing. I guess these are maybe an inch square. I don't remember exactly. But since it's not finished, because if I didn't want to finish it, if I didn't want to quilt it by hand, since I was piecing it by hand, I would have simply made a tack instead of a quilt. And if you don't know what a tack is, I can tell you how to find out. Have your grandmother send you upstairs to bring that quilt down that's there by that chair. And you go up, and you look around, you see a quilt, and you bring it downstairs. And your grandmother says, "Don't you know what a quilt is? That's a tack. Now go back up there and get the quilt." She wasn't really that mean, but, anyway. But that's when I learned what a tack was and what a quilt was. A quilt, we all know what a quilt is. That's one like this, where you take the sewing and put it all through it to hold everything together. A tack is one like this, where you could quilt it and make it into a quilt with your middle in the middle and everything. But if you are in more of a hurry and don't have a lot of time and winter's coming and you just need some more cover for the bed, you take each corner, and you take a stitch and bring it up far enough, about an inch or so, and then no, that's not the way you do it. You do a big running stitch. I've actually made one. You do a big running stitch. You start here, you go up, you go under, 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 and then you do it the other way. And your stitches are as big as your squares. Up and under and up and under and up and under. And then you take scissors and you go snip, 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 snip. And you go snip, 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 snip. And that leaves you, for each corner, 4 little tags. You tie 2 of them together twice. And then you bring the other 2 up and bring them twice. And you've got those little fuzzy stick-up things. And you're tacking the quilt. You're tacking the material together. And that is a tack. And I did learn it the way I just described, by going up and bringing down a tack when she wanted a quilt. But anyway, this, I guess I ran out of material or something. Like I said, I didn't have that much of this one. And this, I think, no, that's not, this is what the sheets are made of. No. Anyway, this is just another little, where are we? Yeah, where are we? Finger, there. This is just another little tiny rosebud kind of a thing I had. Anyway, so what I plan to do this is make it more like a lap rug, or what we used to do in the Barbie house was to just fold it and fold. Oh, the bad thing about cell phones is they don't have, it's hard to fasten to a tripod. But anyway, we'd lay it like this, like a foot warmer quilt. But anyway, but I will say, I don't want to go too long. I did it a while ago and got cut off. Don't like getting cut off. But anyway, I'm thinking. Yes, one reason that I'm doing it so much right now and flooding flooding YouTube with it is because, to begin with, I had been wanting to put stuff up all along, and I couldn't find the camera that I originally started with. No, my first one is actually done with this phone. And then I had my camera that did video, and I did okay with that, and I even managed with that one to get it up online and this and that and the other. But we went on vacation, and I haven't seen that camera since. My daughter says it's here. She says she flipped through the pictures in it here, but I don't know where it's at. I'm going to have to get my dog and cat up and scold them and tell them if somebody doesn't own up to it, that I'm going to have to punish them both. Anyway. That was a joke. Poor doggies. Poor cat. But anyway, so now that I've finally come up with just deciding to go back to my cell phone and I can get them up there, but it's October. Christmas is coming. You might not have time to do a great big dollhouse. You might not want to live with a great big dollhouse. Trust me, I've done it. And depending on how large your family is and this and that and the other. But just, for example, a really quick, easy way to make a room for Barbie would be to take some foam core board and take some, that tape that does duct tape, and cut your walls the size you want them and tape them together on the outside, and do it in such a way to where when they're finished playing with it, it'll fold up and stick behind the dresser or something, and then the furniture could sit in the bookshelf. Whatever, you can, whatever. But anyway, in case you would want to do something special that's not just off the store shelf, this is a pretty good thing to do. If you've got a little bit of craftability, a lot of places where I sew, I suppose you could glue. I generally prefer sewing. Well, I do love to sew, so at any rate, but the fabric, you don't know how many fabric people have gotten upset at me when I would go in and ask for a quarter yard of this and a quarter yard of that and a quarter yard of that, and work their little tails off for just a quarter of a yard. But I go through stores, and if I happen to see what I think is a perfect little print for for making something for a dollhouse or some little miniature or something like that, well, there's no sense in buying yards and yards and yards of it. Also, it's a good way to use up scraps of other things that you have done if the pattern fits. But anyway, before I get caught getting cut off in the middle of a sentence, again, I'm going to let you go. You take care. Have a blessed day. I happen to be in the South, and I believe the whole of North Carolina is thinking about washing down our way. So I'm in foothills now. Before it's all over, I may be in the mountains again. But at any rate, Lord willing, we know from the rainbow that he's not going to flood everybody, but he never said he wouldn't flood a few of us once in a while. Y'all take care. God bless you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.